Hey kids, and welcome to this week's
Big God Story!
Hey, you interrupted me.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Timmy. I didn't mean to be so rude. I just get so thrilled about sharing the story God has planned for us, and I can't contain all my excitement.
It's okay, Miss Reading. I appreciate you and all your excitement for all of our stories each week. And you know what I just thought of? Because what just happened with us, with my feelings being a little hurt and you apologizing, it reminds me of a story that we're gonna learn about today. It's called Jesus is Compassionate.
Ooh, yes, he sure is, Timmy Allen. And I agree. I had compassion for your hurting feelings when I interrupted you during your opening lines. You know, kids, compassion is like seeing someone who's poor or left out or hurt, and we feel sad or sorry for them. But compassion can be so much more.
Compassion is something that comes from deep inside of us. It's a feeling that is so overwhelming that we can't help but to do something about it.
Today in our story, we'll see Jesus having a lot of compassion for a crowd of people who had been gathered to be near him. They wanted to listen to him because they heard all about his incredible teachings and how he healed the sick. And they wanted to see his amazing miracles for themselves.
On this day, Jesus, after teaching, was trying to get some time alone with God. He wanted to pray, or maybe he wanted to get himself some dinner, and maybe have some coffee. And maybe even take a nap. It's my most comfortable blanket.
We will see how he put his needs aside because he had compassion for all the people who gathered to hear him. So join us for the miracle of how God fed more than 5,000 people with just 2 fish
What?
and 5 loaves of bread.
And I promise you, you will see how Jesus is compassionate. Where's my blanket? Oh, yeah.
This is the story that teaches the compassion of Jesus and how he cared for and fed a large crowd. Jesus crossed to the far shore of Galilee and got into a boat. He got out of the boat, and a great crowd of people were there waiting for him. They wanted to be near him. They wanted to follow him because they had heard about his teachings. The crowd wanted to see him heal the sick, and they wanted to see him perform some miracles. So Jesus, wanting to get away from the people for a little while, went up the side of a mountain and sat down with his disciples. Jesus looked up and saw the great crowd still coming towards him. He said to Philip,
Hello?
"Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat?" Philip answered, "It would take more than a half year's wages to buy enough bread for each one to have one bite." Another one of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up and said, "Here is a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. But how far can they go? They can't feed so many." Then Jesus stood up and said, Everyone, have a seat. Even though there is only 5,000 of you, there's enough room for everyone to have a seat on the ground." Jesus took the fish and the bread, and he looked up to heaven and he said, "Father in heaven, we give you all the thanks for these small fishes and these loaves of bread. We praise your name. You are wonderful. We ask for you to feed all these people. And you're not going to believe what happened that day. God multiplied the 5 small loaves of bread and the 2 fish, and everyone had enough to eat. And there was even some left over. After the people saw the signs Jesus performed, they began to say to one another, "Surely this is the prophet who has come into the world." The end.
Goodbye.
Hi kids, it's me, Sunny Ray, and I am in the weather. The forecast for today looks like cloudy with a chance of fish and bread. Okay, well, maybe it's not cloudy with a chance of fish or bread, But in our story, we learn about the miracle of Jesus feeding over 5,000 people with only 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. But most importantly, we saw that Jesus is compassionate on a crowd of hungry followers. Hey, you know what? We can be like Jesus too. Kids, look around your home, school, and your neighborhoods to see where you can have compassion for those around you. You may not feed 5,000 people, but who knows? With your great faith in Jesus, you could be a miracle to someone in need.